there, I'm Jane Sawyer, and this is Jane Sawyer Makes a Mushroom Jar. If you watched my previous video, you know that last year I participated in this art abandonment event called Game of Shrooms, where artists make mushroom themed art and hide them out in their community for people to find and keep for free. This is an annual event and I really love the whimsy of it, and I love the warm fuzzy feeling I get from giving art away to my community, so I definitely wanted to participate again this year. Last year I made my version of the fly agaric mushroom, which is this little mushroom. It is inarguably the cutest mushroom that exists. This year I wanted to go for something a little more creepy, or like creepy cute. So I was doing my shroom research and I came across this guy who is the inky cap mushroom. I think probably the most goth of mushrooms. As it matures, it melts into this black goo that looks like it's ink dripping from its cap. I think this guy is pretty fun, has a lot of character, but its color scheme is really boring. So I thought what I might do is kind of go for like a Beetlejuice inspired color scheme, bring in some greens and purples from Tim Burton's famous character, and combine them in sort of a goofy, weird mushroom dude. I'm actually gonna be making 4 versions of this mushroom, 2 to hide locally, 1 for me to keep, and then the one you guys see made in this video, I would like to ship out to one of you. All you gotta do if you would like me to send you this mushroom is watch this video all the way through, comment the secret word, and I will pick a winner at random. So we're gonna call this a Beetlejuice inspired inky cap mushroom. I'm not even gonna sketch it first, let's just go. I've really been into the idea lately of putting secret compartments into my art, so I'm gonna build this mushroom onto one of these little glass jars I found at the discount store. I got these ones because they're made of glass, which can go in the oven, and they have these screw-on lids. We can hide the jar inside the mushroom and it'll be like a secret little compartment in there. For now, we're gonna set the lid aside and bulk up the bottom of the jar with some aluminum foil. I cover this assembly with some polymer clay, smoothing it down with my fingers. I compress the clay against the glass with the back of a spoon, which leaves a nice texture. I use a craft knife to carve a divot where the face will go later. Now I'm going to roughen the mushroom cap on the lid we set aside earlier. I wrap a snake of crumpled foil around the cap, then coil it turd-like into a cone shape. I use another snake of foil to flare out the base of the cap and use some scraps to smooth out the major lumps and bumps. Once I have a shape I like, I start slapping on flattened blobs of polymer clay and smooth them down with my fingers. I even cover the inside of the flare, making sure not to obstruct the threads of the jar lid. At this stage, I bake both the stem and the cap in the polymer clay version of Saving Your Work. To make the drippy ink from my cap, I used polymer clay adhesive to stick on some little blobs, which I sculpted into vaguely drip-like shapes. I did this again in various blob shapes and sizes until I had drips all around the edge of the cap, and baked it again. Now I'm going to make these frilly fibrous bits that kind of peel up from the cap. This was the funnest bit to make. I rolled out a long snake and used my fingers to flatten one edge. This very special tool here is a piece I cut from a hair comb. I pressed the tool along the flattened edge of the snake to make the fibers, and then roughened the edge up with this tool. I used polyclay adhesive to stick it to the mushroom cap, curling up the free edge with my fingers, and I blended in the seam. I repeated this for 2 more tiers before one final bake of the cap. Now we're going to put a little goober face in the divot we left in the stem earlier. Since the stem has been baked, I stuck on a blob of fresh clay for face sculpting and used my thumbs to blend in the edges. I'm using the round, flat end of my craft knife to put in 2 eye sockets. I just push it straight in, then tilt it up for a ghoulish look. The eyeballs are the heads off some glass sewing pins. I snipped off the pin part with some side cutters, and then I pushed the little stump into the clay. The nose is just a tiny little bean stuck on with a tiny bit of clay adhesive. Like most people, I keep a jar of pre-baked teeth on my desk. I pulled 2 tiny teeth out for this little mushroom's underbite. Those are just stuck into the face clay, and then a lower lip and jaw is made from a small flattened blob. After the last bit of fiddling, the stem goes in for its final bake. Here's the final sculpt, all cured and ready for paint. But first, I gave him a couple coats of gesso. We're going to start with the stem here. I slap on a bit of white acrylic, then wet blend some gray and peach into the top and bottom. Beetlejuice has these really big purple patches around his eyes, so I put them in. I also added a blush to the lower lip and nose. Beetlejuice also has some stuff going on by his lips here, so I added that in and let it dry. This guy has some moss or algae growing on his neck here, so I painted that on too before finishing his eyeballs. Now we'll paint the mushroom cap. I'm going to do a similar color scheme as the stem, enhancing the tiers with some purple and stippling on a bit of green. I'm going to paint that bottom drippy tier with a few coats of black paint, and then to make it really look wet and drippy, I'm going to put on a coat of high gloss resin. I use a bit of resin on the lips and eyes too. I love the look of the cured resin here. I'm going to give the rest of the sculpture a coat of satin finish varathane. This step is optional, but I think it gives the paint job a really nice finish. The secret word is fungus. Try to use it in a sentence so people can't guess from the comments. So I repeated this 3 more times until I had 4 mushrooms total. 1 for me, 1 for you, and 2 to hide locally. I packed up the 2 little mushies that I was hiding into some waterproof bags along with a note, and then I drove to my nearest sort of larger city to hide them. I put 1 at the local university campus. School is out, but there's still lots of people using the athletic center. I hid the second one at a local landmark. Lots of people visit this place, and it was pretty easy to spot in this picnic area, so someone was sure to find it. And then I waited. I had put my Instagram handle in the note, and I was sort of hoping that whoever had found the mushrooms would reach out and let me know that they had found them, but nobody did. And that's okay. The whole purpose of this Game of Shrooms thing is to give away free art with no strings attached. So, well, maybe I had a teeny tiny little bit of hope that whoever found my art would reach out and tell me how much they loved it and that I'm an artistic genius. It's
totally okay.
I am, however, looking forward to giving one of my mushrooms away to one of you, so make sure you comment that secret word. If you want to make your own version of the mushroom I made last year, you can check out the free template for that and more at janesawyermakes.com. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, or Thread. I am at Jane Sawyer Makes on all platforms. Give this video a like, subscribe for more. Good luck in the giveaway, and I will see you on the next one.